How you gonna see?
I'm gonna put it close to my face like this.
How they gonna see you?
Okay. Hi, I'm Pixie Lay.
And I'm Eric.
And we are
Okay.
trying to learn music theory for the purpose of making an album.
Woo.
What was this chapter about?
Intervals.
This chapter was about intervals. So it says interval is the distance between pitches. Scales and chords are built by intervals. Harmonic is two notes at the same time. And a melodic is one note after another. The identity of an interval is determined by quantity, counting,
Lines and spaces.
lines and spaces, and quality, major, minor, perfect, diminished, or augmented. In quantity, we ignore accidentals. And then for the notes, do is prime, re is second,
No, you do unison.
do is prime in unison.
No, do the amount of spaces. So that's how many spaces and lines is between the. That's what the interval is. It's the amount of spaces.
Okay,
Or
what
lines or
exactly am I
spaces.
supposed to say?
Well, with unison, there's one line or space.
Okay, so do is prime, and it's with unison.
You don't
There's
have to say the do, re, mi, fa.
only one line or space. Second, there's two lines or spaces. Third, there's three lines or spaces. Fourth, there's four lines and spaces. Fifth, there's five lines and spaces. Sixth, there's six lines and lines and spaces. Seventh, there's seven lines and spaces. And for the octave, there's 8 lines and spaces. And then for the ninth, there's 9 lines and spaces. And for a 10th, there's 10 lines and spaces. And 9 and 10 are compound intervals.
If it goes past octave, it's a compound interval. If it goes past 8. And then the quality is determined by the number of half steps between the two notes. So you do consider the accidentals. So for major intervals, the second interval has 2.5 steps, third interval has 4.5 steps, the sixth interval has 9.5 steps, and the seventh interval has 11.5 steps. And then for the minor intervals, the second has 1.5 steps, the third has 3.5 steps, the sixth has 8.5 steps, the seventh has 10.5 steps. And then all
Is
the
it
other
10
ones.
half steps or 10 and a half steps?
Oh, 10 half steps.
10
yes.
half steps, okay.
I'm going to say all that over. So the major intervals. The second one has 2 half steps. The third one has 4 half steps. The sixth one has 9 half steps. The seventh one has 11 half steps. Good job. Good question. Keep me on my toes. And then the minor, the second interval has 1 half step. The third interval has 3 half steps. The sixth interval has 8 half steps. And the seventh interval has 10 half steps. And then for all the ones that weren't named, the unison, fourth, fifth, and octave, those are called perfect intervals.
Okay.
And then diminished intervals are 1 half step less than the minor or perfect interval. And then the augmented is 1 half step more than major or perfect. The major or perfect interval. And there you go. Right.
What did you learn from this chapter?
I learned about numbers. Like when you see the numbers on TikTok on the piano, that's like telling you the relation of the notes to each other. And that means different things based on different things. I used to know the major and the minor intervals. We used to do like a warm-up in choir and vocal, where we would like sing up the scale and then we would say which interval it is. Right, and that would be useful if I remembered it. I learned what diminished and augmented were, which is nice. I feel like that really makes sense. Okay. Right.
Well, that's the end of the chapter. We'll see you guys next week.